No signal.
Playing here. It's not playing there. So,
All right, and we're off to a roaring start with a technical difficulty. So just, yeah, we're just going to formally recess the meeting really briefly while we get the IT issue sorted out. We might start at 1:30 after all, so we'll be back in a minute.
One of the darkest chapters in Canada's story is the residential school era. Get rid of the Indian problem. Kill the Indian in the child. These were not whispers in the dark. They were policies. They were plans. Plans of the worst assimilation attempt ever. Since the late 1800s, our children were taken, ripped from warm homes, from arms of mothers, from songs of their people, and from the land that knew their names. Some parents never knew their child was taken. Others were jailed for trying to keep them safe. In those schools, they were stripped of their names and given numbers, stripped of their
No, I just don't.
A simulation attempt ever. Since the late 1800s, our children were taken, ripped from warm homes, from arms of mothers, from songs of their people.
No, it's echoing.
Yeah, but you have to leave audio here.
Okay, I'm going back to.
All right, welcome back. Apologies for the technical challenges that we were not able to overcome. We are going to go a little more old-fashioned, and we'll turn this over to Gary. Go ahead.
Okay, we'll try again. I'm sorry we couldn't see the video, but the video, the 4 videos, the first one is the Tears of Change, where it shows our story about the awareness of what happened in those residential schools. And this is our story to tell. And if people don't believe it, it doesn't matter, because it's our story, nobody else's. And then there's 3 other videos, the regalia making video, the totem pole, reconciliation pole video, and the graduation ceremony video. And they're all going to be available to watch on our webpage, CIL Reconciliation Movement. If you go onto that page, you'll be able to see all the 3 videos. We haven't put the 4th one on yet until we want the family of Tony and Cindy, the children of Tony and Cindy, to see the video first before we'll post it. And a few of them have watched it now. But I just wanted to say that thank you for allowing us to come and speak again. And that story that we tell, we don't blame anybody, we don't shame anybody, and we don't point any fingers at everybody. We just want to bring awareness of what happened in those schools. And we ask that after you see the story of what happened in those schools, if you have it in your heart to walk with us, walk with our survivors. And that's why we're here today, to CI has won the Reconciliation Award for BC in 2025. So on June 27th in our Longhouse, the tables will be set at noon, but we'll probably begin at 11, and we want to invite the board and some of your senior staff who would like to come and celebrate, because it's the award's going to be represented again by Stephen Point from the Stalo Nation, who was a lieutenant governor when he's the one that created that Reconciliation Award for BC. So him and his wife are going to come and represent it, but not to just CIO. We want them to present it to the whole Sunshine Coast, because if the whole Sunshine Coast wasn't walking with us, we would have no reconciliation projects. And we wanted to have a celebration ceremony so that we can thank everybody for reaching out and hearing our stories and had it in their hearts that we can make a difference. And the theme for CIA Days this year is Together Making a Difference. So there'll be some paddle necklaces given out at the Longhouse on that day. And on the back it has the saying, Together Making a Difference. And that's why we really wanted to come here today, just to invite you and thank you for stepping up and seeing it in your hearts that yes, you understand what happened, because it's going to take a long time for our community to heal, the survivors to heal. We were told by a chief that it may take 1,000,000 steps before true reconciliation happens. But we're well underway through the CIA Reconciliation Movement. I want to thank our committee, who are a very compassionate committee and really want to make a difference on what's happening with reconciliation. And I want to thank you again for walking with us. And even if you can hear some of the stories that have happened, I'm not going to share any stories today because I know what happened to my family. I know what happened to our community. But we did have a sacred fire ceremony at the monument on Monday. It was the anniversary of the 215 burials that were found at the Kamloops Residential School. And Kamloops reached out to all the nations who had a school in their community to light a fire, and we did on Monday. The fire was lit at 5 a.m. and put out at 9 p.m. And a lot of people came to pay their respects to the monument and shared stories. So I'm hoping that you guys would come to our longhouse on June 27th. We have to follow our protocol, longhouse protocol, that before we can start any work, that we have to feed our guests. We have to make sure that none of our guests go home hungry. And so we'll be starting with a feast. But there will be some work started before the feast. I think one of our cultural workers is going to share the stories of the totem poles that are in our longhouse. Those totem poles carry all our creation stories of our nation, and they'll be sharing those stories on Saturday, on June 27th, to start before the feast. And I want to thank District Seashalt. Our nation had put forward $10,000 each. I think the credit union has done $5,000. The credit union has contributed $5,000, and we're still looking for contributions. And I'm not sure if you guys would be able to contribute anything, because it's going to cost about $40,000 to do that day on June 27th. And if not, it's okay. We just want you to come and celebrate with us. That reconciliation is moving in the right direction in our community on the Sunshine Coast. And I want to thank all the Sunshine Coast residents for seeing it in their hearts that, yes, we can make a difference. And one of the things we did for the last Orange Shirt Day is that we had one of our survivors, Frank Dixon, who was in that school for 12 years. We got him to carve 2,600 hearts. And we brought 200 hearts to every school on the coast, so 13 schools, and all the children got the right messages on those hearts. And we got to hang them on the walk in September. And there was one heart that really affected me. It really touched my heart. This is from a child that wrote on that heart, "We are listening." And I hope it has an impression, as much as impression it had on me. That's my favorite heart. So we have the award. We wanted to share the award. I'm going to turn it over to Dale now. He's going to talk about the award that was gifted to CIA back in January in Victoria.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dale Sankey, and I'm obviously a member of the CIA committee. So I'll just be brief. Tatiana is going to bring up the award that we were given and just allow you to have a look. The award was co-founded by the Honourable Stephen Point, former Lieutenant Governor of BC, and presented by the BC Achievement Foundation in partnership with the Office of the Lieutenant Governor of BC. We were also gifted, the original is a hand-carved cedar paddle, and each group that received the award received this print of the paddle. It recognizes, the award recognizes individuals, groups, and organizations that demonstrate exceptional leadership, integrity, respect, and commitment to furthering reconciliation. It's rooted in the essence of putting truth before reconciliation. The award celebrates actions that are strengthen connections between the Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities. We also received what Darren is wearing. It's an exclusive orange shawl designed by Indigenous artist Carrie Newman. It carries the messages of hope from a number of BC First Nations languages. The orange color is now symbolic of truth and reconciliation in the honor of the story of Phyllis Webstad, founder of the Orange Shirt Day. The scarves were produced and donated by the Black Goat Cashmere store as a gesture of their commitment to the reconciliation. So we had a group of about 10 people from our area here that went to the ceremony at Lieutenant Governor's house in Victoria, and Stephen Point was there. He gave a very inspiring speech, and so we were able to contact him, and he has, as Gary said, he's going to be joining us on June 27th. So we hope that you'll all be able to join us as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm coming to you, Director Bax. Please wait. Please wait. Thank you for coming here today. Thank you for sharing with us. I know that I won't miss the date for anything in the world, and I know that a lot of the directors have already talked about coming out. In terms of providing some financial support, I know that's also a conversation some of the directors have had or are having in the background. So I don't know that we're making any motions today, because that's not our practice to make motions on delegations. But I know that it is something that is important to the directors, finding a way that we can contribute to this event. Director Bax.
I just wanted to know when it began, what time of the day it begins on June 27th.
11 a.m. and there'll be a brief ceremony and then a feast, and then after that, there'll be the presentation.
Any other questions or comments? Director Gabius?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you so much for coming here today and for the invitation. I won't miss it. Always love going to the Longhouse. It's always wonderful, and thank you for feeding us always. Just want to point out that we need people like you more than ever. Like reconciliation is not a straight line. I think we're seeing that. There's a lot of, it seems like we go forward, backwards, and so to have grassroots citizens leading the charge, I think that is the way to go. And congratulations on the award, well deserved. And I think you add so much to the Sunshine Coast. You make us really, I think, should be proud. And I'm proud of being on the Sunshine Coast, thanks to people like you.
Thank you. I just want to share very quickly. Last year, Daisy Raphael, who is a professor of political science from the Ontario University, she came with 3 of her students to experience CIA Days, because they had been doing research across Canada to see how, since the discovery of the children, how Canada Day had changed. And the only places in Canada where there was a change was Seashell and Thunder Bay. But there is no place across Canada that does an 11-day event from June 21st to July 1st, CIA Days. So I think we have a lot to be proud of here, that we are making changes. And I also wanted to share that we were nominated for this award. 6 groups and individuals received the award, but there were 66 nominations in BC. So there is a lot of work going on out there, and that's really positive to know. Yeah. So thank you once again for having us today,
Thank you.
and hopefully you'll get the video going.
Absolutely. Any final comments from my directors just before I let you guys go? All right. 27th.
See you on the 27th. That's my comment.
Yes. And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
And our next delegation, come on forward, is Connect the Coast. This is item 5.1 regarding the final report for Connect the Coast conceptual design phase.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tanis Braithwaite, and I'm here on behalf of Connect the Coast Society. You may recall back in 2024, in conjunction with the town of Gibson's, Connect the Coast Society received a grant from the Green Municipal Fund, and the regional district provided some matching funds for that. So I just wanted to come and go through on a very high level the work that has been done with the funds that were received. The first piece of work that was done was topographic surveying. Very detailed LiDAR and photogrammetry data was collected by a company called GeoVera, who went by an aerial drone, equipped aerial drone, and also a truck. Data was collected from, see if I can do this, not really, from the Langdale Ferry Terminal along Marine Drive into Lower Gibsons, up Gibsons Way, and along the highway as far as the turnoff to Lower Road in Elphinstone. And it was also collected from Roberts Creek Road along the highway corridor through Davis Bay, Selma Park, and Seashalt Village. To give you an example of the level of detail in the LiDAR data, this is just a shot of one section. The next piece of work that was done was an environmental overview assessment by ecologic consultants, and an archaeological overview assessment and preliminary field reconnaissance was done by Campfire Heritage and the Squamish Nation working together. That was done for the ministry's corridor safety review area. And the heavy lifting on the project was done by WSP. WSP prepared a conceptual engineering design for a smaller section running from Pratt Road in Upper Gibsons to the turnoff to Lower Road in Elphinstone. And they also prepared a construction cost estimate. So this is just a small section showing the intersection at Ocean View Drive from the conceptual design. And this is a rendering also near Ocean View Drive of the design. So this is from a program called Beyond Typical, which engineering firms use to create a visual of exactly how the infrastructure would look based on the design that they have prepared. So as you can see in this picture, the multi-use path is pulled up right tight to the highway. It's effectively a very wide shoulder, and highway traffic is separated from path traffic by a concrete barrier. That's how the design works in areas where the right-of-way is very narrow. Where the right-of-way is wider, the path pulls away from the highway and would be separated from the highway by a grassy ditch. WSP also prepared a construction cost estimate. It's an itemized listing of all of the work that would need to be done to build their design. And it's also broken down by segment. So segment 5 is the section within the town of Gibsons. Segments 6 and 7 are within the SCRD. And the total cost came out to just under $10 million. WSP also did pretty extensive stakeholder engagement, divided into 2 main chunks. There were 4 engagement sessions with what we're calling key stakeholders. There's our groups without whom the project cannot proceed, and that's the Ministry of Transportation, the Regional District, the Town of Gibsons, and the Squamish Nation. And they also did public engagement sessions and an online survey. One of the things that we heard throughout the process was that maintenance costs are a big issue for governments. And so Connect the Coast Society created a maintenance cost estimate report based on the ministry's tables for how much maintenance costs and cross-referenced against information from municipalities that have this type of infrastructure. And so you'll see 2 numbers here. The higher number is the 71,000 number, includes complete resurfacing every 20 years, the annualized cost of that. And the lower number is the annual maintenance cost, not including a resurfacing. All of this information is available on the TRAC website in tremendous detail, the full engineering drawings, all of the full reports, walkthrough videos explaining the process, explaining the drawings, everything you can imagine. And if you can imagine something that's not there, you can ask us and we'll get it. And just in terms of moving forward, one of the things that has been made clear to us by the ministry is that we need local government support for this project. And so we'll be proposing to return here in the fall and asking for an allocation of staff time in the budget so that the staff can engage on a potential memorandum of understanding with the regional district that would identify what objectives we have in common and how we might achieve those objectives. And I'm happy to take any questions that anyone might have.
Great, thank you very much. I see Director Inkster first.
So these projects and the proposals for the work that needs to be done highway side have been in front of us for a number of years, and we've talked, a number of us, including myself, have talked to your group and one of the gentlemen over there specifically about these projects. There's been two what I would consider large highway projects. Well, let's add the one in Roberts Creek, 3 in the last 4 years. Would those have been opportunities to add pieces to this project, like in a sense piecemeal, just because they're mobilized, they're doing the work in the area, the expenditures they're putting into pieces like the lighting is probably so much higher than dividers. It just seems that these are opportunities because of the cost and the slowness by which your organization is probably getting reaction from the province that maybe we should be talking to them when these projects come through. The pedestrian safety issue in Elphinstone near Ocean View, it looks like based on that picture. The Roberts Creek one at the top of that road, I can't remember it. It was, Kelly would know, but it's near his house, but just the road there where all the stops, where the bus stop is. And then in Seashelt, the big one next to the courthouse. Those would be opportunities to really create some biker, walker safety there at the same time. Yeah.
Absolutely, and there are some projects coming up in the area that we've been quite focused on. The ministry acknowledges that there needs to be culvert replacements for the streams through that area. And obviously, when they are replacing the culverts, it's an opportune time to build this path.
Excellent. Any other questions from directors? Director Gavious, go ahead.
Not sure if there's going to be a question in there, but thank you so much for the presentation. It's good to keep on top of what's happening, all the work that you're doing, and thank you so much for pushing this forward. I know it's, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources. And everyone, I think, that we talked to, I haven't heard anyone who's opposed to this project. Everybody's very excited, and I think it makes sense for the Sunshine Coast long-term. The long-term vision needs to include multi-use pathways, especially along the highway. And I think when you look at what the ministry is actually telling us through their correspondence when it comes to OCP and the bypass study, that our roads are, I'm not sure how much growth they can support, but having different alternative ways of getting around would really help. Without having to build a new highway and whatnot. So really grateful for that work, and happy to see that you've been talking with the stakeholders. If you could say a little bit more maybe about that stakeholder engagement, I'd be interested to know what your talks with the Ministry of Transportation have been like. And because I think that's we're trying to get everybody maybe in the same room at some point to hash out all the roles and responsibilities and all that stuff. But if you have any insight on that specific engagement, I'd love to hear it.
Well, we do know that they have reviewed our plans. They didn't attend any of the key stakeholder engagement meetings, but they have reviewed our plans and our cost estimate. Their position has always been that they need to work through local governments. So that's a bit of a stumbling block for us. We're also aware that people within the ministry at quite high levels are aware of the project, as are people who run the Active Transportation Capital Program. The issue, of course, is that the project is quite expensive. It's more expensive than any of the other projects that they have so far agreed to fund. We do believe that the ministry, a couple of years ago, we were given a slide presentation that suggested the ministry was thinking very much along the lines that we are over the long term, but there's no funding allocated for that. And so so there we are, until there's some money. But I think it's quite optimistic within the ministry because they are aware of it and recognize also that there's a lot of public support for it.
And I know we bring it up a lot in our meetings with the Ministry of Transportation. I'm going to go to Director Bax and then Director McMahon.
Thank you, Chair. Director Inkster, I think you're talking about the Joe Road, Orange Road interchange? Yes. Quite the thing. My question is the future. So I'm looking beyond this, and I'm very optimistic that this will become a reality. One of the things that worries me is the costs that are put upon these type of projects by the ministry. But when you get to Lower Road, I know that the delegation has looked into the future, and as a director for Roberts Creek, or whoever comes after me, would be very interested in knowing which direction you're going to go when the fork, when you hit the fork in the road, which time do you take? Are you going Lower Road, or are you going to go highway? I know that velo tourism, bicycle tourism is an important growth aspect to our tourism. And we're very popular but we need to make it safer for everyone. And so the question is, Lower Road or the highway?
So when we started this project, we came up with a few guiding principles. And so with respect to that question in particular, our goal is highway the entire distance, but we're deprioritizing areas where there is an existing alternative road that could be used. And so the long-term goal is highway, but until the rest is built, up to Seashelt at least, Lower Road will be the connector between discrete sections near the highway.
Thank you. Director McMahon.
Thank you. We all hope that this is a project whose time will come. Having recently been in Vancouver at the Sylvia Hotel watching wheeled devices of every kind, including some I hadn't imagined, go racing past. I mean, this is, there's just more and more people with different sorts of usually electrically assisted vehicles coming along. And I can hardly disagree that Elphinstone should be the highest priority. But I will say that the challenge, one of the many challenges across the province is that while MOTT insists on a local government partnership, they have no framework for partnering with regional districts, only with municipalities. And the same is true of ICBC and their road safety programs. They're all designed around municipal partners. So it's a province-wide problem. And the problem of, I was recently listening to a podcast, and I can't remember the community now, but a lot of small communities, the only road through the community is the highway. And so everybody has to use it, but it's governed by the Motor Vehicle Act, which right there says what the problem is. So anyway, that was just me ranting again. I wish you the best with this project.
I think that's something you could take up maybe with the UBCM.
Yeah, right on. Any other questions or comments from directors? If not, always great seeing you guys. Thank you for the update. We'll keep banging on doors on your behalf. And yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next up on the agenda, item 6.1, Committee of the Whole meeting recommendations 1 through 4 of May 14th. Directors, are there any that you want to pull for separate consideration? If not, may I have a motion to endorse the block? Moved? Seconded? Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Thank you, that's carried. 6.2, starting on page 30, Electoral Area Services Committee meeting recommendations 1 through 14 of May 21st. Any that you wish to pull for separate discussion? If not, a motion to endorse the block. Moved. Seconded. Thank you, Director Gabius. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Thank you. That's carried. Item 6.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so in the EAS recommendations, just recommendation number 7, the SHMU that we're, the report that we're sending to our APCs. Again, I think we need to be clear as what we are asking of our APCs as much as possible. So not sure if there's going to be staff present at those APC meetings, but I think it'd be important to kind of, instead of, giving the report and then without really much context or questions to answer, I think like the more we can give them, the more direction we can give them, the better the outcome. So something to think about for those meetings, yeah.
Thank you. Director McMahon.
I wonder if we could set a default so that if we don't specify a direction, then it is for information. Just, then we have a position. It's just a suggestion.
Okay, thank you. I think staff hear that. I don't hear any particular direction changes or adjustments to make at the moment. So item 6.3, Special Electoral Area Services Committee meeting recommendation 1 of May 21st. Can I have a motion to endorse, please? It's just one recommendation. Moved. Seconded. All those in favor? Thank you, that's carried. Item 6.4, which is the addendum to our agenda from this morning. So that's Committee of the Whole meeting recommendation number 6 of May 28th. It's just the one recommendation coming forward from this morning at this time. Can I have a motion to endorse it, please? Moved. Seconded. Any further discussion? I think we exhausted the topic this morning. I will call the question then. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried.
The other recommendations will come.
As part of the general minutes coming forward, yeah, for the recommendations. Okay, and with that, we move on to item 6.5, which is placement of notice on title. And just in time, our chief building official. So the report starts on page 36. Mr. Kennett, did you want to introduce for us?
Sure. Good afternoon. Section 57 in the Community Charter authorizes the board to direct the corporate officer to register a notice on the title where a building contravenes a regional district bylaw. This notice is intended to encourage compliance and provide disclosure to prospective purchasers and other interested parties. It is not punitive and may be discharged once compliance is achieved. Today's report outlines the information and presents recommendations related to 3 properties. Only the owner of property 1 has advised staff in advance of today's meeting that they wish to speak to the recommendation pertaining to their property. Staff are available to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you. And I believe we've got representatives from property 3 here in the gallery with us today. So we will take these one by one. We're going to start with property number 1, which is 5884 Garden Bay Road in electoral area A. Is there anybody online you indicated there should be somebody wishing to speak to this?
There should be someone online.
If you're a representative of 5884 Garden Bay Road and wish to speak to this notice on title, please raise your virtual hand. Okay, we're going to promote you so you can speak. Can you hear us? Okay.
So you should be able to talk.
You should be able to unmute yourself at this point.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you now. Oh, are you
Okay.
there? Yep, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Are you talking to Craig Dunn?
Yes, yes, I am. Did you wish to speak to 5884 Garden
Okay,
Bay
yeah,
Road?
oh, yeah. Okay. Well, what is, I basically got cut off here, so the Zoom started working and you just said, go ahead. So what do I speak to it about? Like, what's, I'm new here. So give me the rundown on what you would like to speak about.
Sure. I presume you're a representative of that property, 5884 Garden Bay Road. Just before we as directors consider the notice on title, we're required to give an opportunity for you to speak. If you want to talk about how you might be bringing anything into compliance or any process that you're working through, or if, there's a need for a little bit more time to get paperwork in order or anything of that nature. But if you're here and you don't have any issues to bring up or to raise or concerns to bring up for the directors, then it's really just if anybody has any questions for you. So I'll leave it there and see if, you've got anything you want to add.
What? Okay, wonderful. So there are 5 temporary buildings on site, and then one building that was erected middle of COVID. It was a Quonset building, got put up basically right next to the roadway. So we put that up. It's basically a shed that was put up without a permit. The idea basically is the property, and it's a business. So it's a gourmet mushroom farm, one of 2 on the Sunshine Coast. It is in the proper zoning. It is in ALR. The other buildings are temporary structures to, with time and budget, we will start migrating towards building a larger proper facility. But at the time when I was going through the permitting process, it was almost a 2-year delay, and I didn't have that amount of time in order to get my business on its feet. So I went ahead and did it. I talked to a geotech. I took pictures. I bought a kit building that was already pre-engineered and was stamped, and now it functions. I at no time have ever seen nor had anybody from the SCRD show up until I had 2 temporary buildings dropped off last year that I got for free from the pulp mill. The pulp mill was going to destroy it, so I got them for free, in which case I think doing the SCRD a favor by not putting a bunch of things into the landfill and using them for growing food. So what I'm looking for here is a little bit of leeway, or maybe not leeway is probably not the right term, a little bit of time to get the proper documentation together for the one building, with the intent that the other 5 buildings are going to go away. I know that that's probably not how that works, but I'm a business. So basically, trying to grow food, if this business falls flat on its face, because what is being asked of me now to provide all the documentation, the surveying, the hoops that are going to go through, I'm going to be sunk. So then, basically, the other thing I can do is what the other people all around this area, 5884, I don't know if you're familiar with that area, but there's a homeless encampment right next to a stream where people just live on the side of the road. and then they dump waste into a salmon-bearing stream. And I was working with the SCRD on trying to actually get that stopped, in which case then they deferred things to Ministry of Transportation, in which case they haven't fully closed off access to this, and now there's new people living in those encampments. So the property, if this doesn't function, can become just one great big encampment, just like the property behind me, Rusin Farms, which is a greenhouse, which also has a bunch of homeless people living in it. And there's a lot of oil from the BC ferries that's sitting in tanks that basically, as water's overflowing, is going to spill into another waterway. So I'm probably the only person in that whole region who's actually trying to do something with that with the property and the farmland. And I'm looking for some support to help getting what I need, so I don't have to just fight with the bureaucracy of what's in, what it takes to get something off the ground with the SCRD.
Okay, thank you. I will say, I'm going to look to the area director here in just a moment, but I will say that, notice on title is not, it's intended as a warning to any potential future owners of the property that structures, may have been built without permits or out of sort of compliance with the regulations. It's not, a demolition order. It's not, a court order of enforcement. Yeah, I think that's one thing that I think a lot of people think that this is going to be some sort of a demolition order through the courts, and that's not what this is. This is just intended to warn any potential future owners of the property that there are structures that have been constructed, in contravention of the bylaws that we have. If the buildings are brought into compliance or taken down, or permits are issued in the future to sort of rectify the situation, it's just an administrative matter to remove that notice on title. It's not a complex matter. Director Lee, this is your area. Did you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm aware of the situation. I can't comment on the neighboring properties because there's, of course, a prohibition for me doing that. But really, I have no other option except to go for option one here, that file a notice against until it's fixed. Building permits are for health and safety issues and to protect everybody. You need to have them.
So you're moving recommendation 1 on page 36, Director Lee.
Sounds like it. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Director Stamford. Any other discussion from the directors? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Okay. Property number 2, Lot M, District Lot 2496 in Electoral Area F. Is there anybody in the room or in the virtual gallery that wishes to speak to this particular property? Okay, with that, I'm going to look to Director Stamford since it's Area F.
I would like to move option 2, or recommendation 2 on page 36.
Thank you very much. So that would be placement of notice on title. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you. I do. Is there any debate or discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. All right, and so property number 3, the last one in front of us today, 13361 Harbor Peak Drive in Electoral Area A. The information's here. Did anybody from the property or representing the property wish to speak to this today? Again, if there's anything, are you working towards bringing it into compliance? Are you, Is there anything that you want to share with the board before we make a decision?
You guys got all the letters and papers that we brought.
Well, I guess we're too close to the easement by a couple of inches, so. And I brought my neighbor with me and it doesn't, he's not at all worried about it, so that's about all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
Am I saying anything right, guy? Yeah. Okay.
And I appreciate you guys coming out. It's a strange process. It's a very government, like provincial legislated process that we go through on this. And again, it's more to provide notice to any future property owners that there is an issue or a contravention of bylaws. Director Lee, did you have any comments or
I have
questions?
some questions, yes. I noticed that they completed a variance pre-application. Is there a reason why that wouldn't have processed through?
Formal variance application has not been submitted. The pre-application is in advance of submission of a formal application, which would go before the board for decision. A building permit has not been submitted at the same time.
So what we're looking for is a variance, a formal variance, and if that was granted, then we could issue a building permit? Is that the process?
Yes, that's correct.
I believe that the owner and the neighbor both are proposing to go through that. I'd be interested to find out what their intent is, if I could.
Sure. Did you guys want to speak to intent to
Do
go
you,
through
do you
the
intend
variance,
to
or-
go through the application for a variance and then get a building permit? Is that what you're doing?
Well, they're not really even sure why we're here, other than discrepancy or because we were over, a little bit over past our property line, which goes into his property.
Are you actually over the property line?
No, they are 2 inches away from the setback.
Okay.
I have no objection towards it. It's not hindering me one way or the other.
How long would it take to get the right paperwork done if it was to start, say, we started today?
I can't speculate as the processing times of the variance. However, a complete application has to be submitted for the process to begin.
I know you guys intend to, I believe you intend to legalize this whole thing, right? That's what you're up to? Yeah. I'd like to give them time to do that. The neighbor is the one that it's encroaching on who's actually supporting this, so it would seem like it would be a good idea to give them time rather than put this on.
And by all means, you could make a motion to defer it for 30, 60, 90 days, some other duration.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to defer it 90 days to give them time to get the process underway.
Okay,
I don't believe it's doing any harm, so.
okay. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Director Stamford. Is there any discussion on that? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kennett. And thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.
Yours has been deferred by 90 days to give some time to. Yeah. Yeah, they'll be able to follow up. All right, moving on to item 6.6, which is the 2026 Community Resilience Investment Fire Smart Community Funding and Support Grant Approval Report. And it's a mouthful. You could have done a longer report title. And we've got David McElwraith, our Fire Smart Coordinator, and Chief Rob Michael, our acting Senior Manager of Emergency and Protective Services. Did you want to introduce the report briefly for us, or?
Well, we are here actually because the Sunshine Coast Regional District has received notification that its application to the 2026 Community Resiliency Investment Fire Smart Community Funding and Supports Program, again, that big mouthful, has been approved. So this funding will support the continuation of the SCRD's ongoing wildfire risk reduction, fire smart education, neighborhood engagement, and community resilience initiatives throughout the entire region. Fire Smart program continues to be an important component of the SCRD's broader climate resilience and emergency preparedness efforts, supporting long-term wildfire mitigation and public awareness activities in collaboration with not only community partners, but the rights holders and the stakeholders. The staff report is being presented to advise the board of the funding approval and to seek authorization to accept the grant funds and continue program delivery in accordance with the funding agreement and the program objectives.
Perfect. Excellent news that this funding has been extended or approved for a program extension. Director Bax, I saw your hand.
I'd like to move the recommendations as they appear on page 42 and high five our fire chief and chief coordinator there.
Thank you, Director Bax.
And I've got a seconder from Director Inkster. Did you want to speak to it as well? Go ahead.
I mean, we've done a lot of work on this supporting, and the group has done a good job. Good on you guys. And hopefully we can talk more about the mitigation things that you and I go on and on about, or I go on and on about, and you just politely nod. But talk more about that as part of the program, because I think it's really important, mitigation as well as the home fire smarting. Good for you guys. Good on your group. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments, questions, discussion? If not, this is good news. I don't know why we would vote against it, but I will call the question nonetheless. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. All right. Next up, we have item 6.7, which is an award report for corporate recycling services. This is on page 45 of the agenda. I'm assuming the report speaks for itself, but was there anything that you wanted to highlight?
Thank you. The report does speak for itself.
Great. Here for any questions. Director White, sorry, you're moving the recommendations? Perfect. I've got seconders for that. Any discussion? All those in favor? And that is carried. Thanks for being here. Next up, item 6.8, Reed Road Water Main Replacement Contract Award for decision. And we have our Manager of Capital Projects, Mr. Waldorf. Welcome. Did you want to provide a quick intro, or?
Thanks, Chair. Just very briefly, we had several competitive bids for the project, and this report just recommends the award to the successful bidder. And just note that we're very glad we've managed to do the full extent inside in the available budget, because we had phased the project just in case. Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much. This is good news. Director McMahon?
Yeah, I did have a question. I mean, it's obvious why we need to do this. That blowout of the water main was pretty spectacular, but I note that the work is going to be done in peak tourist season. I hope there's plans to deal with the ferry traffic along that stretch of road, because it gets pretty hairy. Is there going to be work on weekends or just weekdays, or how's that going to be managed?
Project schedule is still to be determined, but most of the work is going to be taking place during the week, during the day. there is significant work that's gone into traffic control planning, and that is included in the contractor scope of work to provide advance notice, road signage well in advance of the project to make sure that people don't come down the wrong road and hit construction unannounced to themselves. There will be times where it's single lane traffic alternating in the immediate vicinity of the project. But for this particular section, luckily, it's primarily between Payne and Henry. So that thoroughfare is still available, and we'll obviously have notice to the public out in advance and also during construction so that we avoid that.
Great. Director McMahon.
Yes, and you might put up notices at the green waste site because that's also a big traffic area, right? The traffic magnet right in that area. I would like to move the recommendations on page 47.
Thank you. And I've got a seconder for that. Directors, any discussion, further questions? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. Thank you. And next up, item 6.9. Pender Harbor Transfer Station in-house site operations hook lift container truck contract award. This is starting on page 47 of our agenda, 450 of our agenda package. Manager Soul, was there anything you want to highlight here, or a brief introduction, or just here for questions? All right. Report generally speaks for itself. This is something we've talked about and direction we've given. So, directors, any questions, discussion, motions? Director Lee.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the recommendations. I believe it's on page 50.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder for that? I do. Excellent. Any further discussion? This is a weighted vote, all directors. All those in favor? All right, that is carried. Okay, thank you. And item 6.10, Regional Housing Coordinator Contract Renewal, Amendment number 3. GM Hall, I see your name on the report. Did you have anything to introduce this?
Just one technical correction, Chair, and it's unrelated to the recommendation or this contract award. It's the, or contract amendment. On page 2, there's reference to a report back coming on the other MRDT funding board directive coming to Electoral Area Services Committee. That would be coming to a committee of the whole or to the board. Just a technical correction. Thanks.
Great, thank you very much, but no impact on the contract amendment. So, Director White. Moving the recommendations, and I've got a seconder. Director McMahon.
Just the comment, since I'm not doing my board report, I attended the Housing Action Table meeting on Monday, and I'm really impressed with the projects that are underway. They're right across the coast, and there's projects relevant to the rural areas and to the munis, and very happy.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands up. I will call the question then. This is all directors. All those in favor? Thank you, that is carried. Next up, we have item 6.11, the 2026 General Local Election Quiet Period. The report's for information, but I'm wondering if you guys wanted to speak to it.
Thank you, Chair. We're here mostly for questions. The report is coming forward for information, and the purpose of the quiet period is to support public confidence in the neutrality and nonpartisan administration of regional district communications during the election period.
Great, thank you. I know it was already lamented earlier about the battery electric buses and their arrival timing. Director McMahon and then Director White.
Yeah, I get what this is for, but we have a few things coming up. I would hate this to squelch anything around Connor Park and the new Half Moon Bay Community Hall. Are we going to be able to get that open before the quiet period?
Thank you for your question. Yeah, the intent is to have the ribbon cutting opening ceremony on that outside of this quiet period, so it'll be early July.
All right. Director White?
I just wanted to check in on email communications and how we're handling that, because it just came up at the town yesterday. We received an email from an organization looking to our mayor and council email, looking to endorse candidates for the next election. And I intervened on that right away and said, hey, you can't be using government email to do this, taxpayer-funded email. This has to be, you have to approach people individually, and ideally you wait until the campaign actually starts too, so you have all the candidates. But I just want to kind of flag that, because same email might have come to the SCRD, and I'm just wondering how that's getting handled here. You know, I've grown to have a concern about government resources being used for campaigning over the years. I've seen people like hand out business cards that they have during campaigns, and I know they're doing it with good intentions, but you can't do that.
Yeah.
So I just want to check in on that aspect.
That is correct. That has been the practice at the SCRD, and there will be further communication going out to directors as we enter that election period in terms of no regional district resources are to be used for campaign purposes. So we will continue with our administrative communications with the continuation of regular board business, but it's just a signal to directors who are running again for election to really make a conscious effort to keep their campaign activities very separate from their SCRD board business, and no SCRD resources should be used as you go forward with your campaigns.
Director Bax?
So as I know that a few of our directors create newsletters, and as long as there's no taxpayer resources used in these newsletters and we're not using them as a platform to for our campaign, that would be okay for us to continue to do that.
So the comment I'll make on that is any of your constituency budget, you would not be eligible to use that for any of your campaign activities.
In the event that any one of us is acclaimed, I imagine that this period, this quiet period, would no longer apply to us? Would that be true? I mean, if we're acclaimed.
Maybe, perhaps not legislatively, but I don't know if, you know, ethically that would be something the directors would have to consider.
It would no longer be campaigning. It would just be talking about business.
Might have to follow up with you later about that.
Anyway,
yeah.
You're
asking the tough questions today. Yeah, Director Inkster.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Is this a question that's every 4 years you come to the board and ask to do this, or is it, I would love to just see it happen, but I guess you got to ask the boards. It's just not everyone's scrupulous. So
there's no requirement for the board to endorse this or adopt it.
Yeah.
It's an information report, and it really is, there's nothing legislatively that compels you to follow any of the advice in here, but it is administratively, we will, in the SCRD staff, we will guide our communications in that matter, and the directors have to look at their own moral and ethical compass in terms of how they run their campaigns. But we provide recommendations to assist directors who are running again to just, our motivation is to create an even playing field for all the candidates that may wish to enter into the election.
Director Lee.
I do a Harbor Spiel article every month. And I don't intend to run again, but, you know, who knows, eh? What's happening between then. So what the recommendation would be is that if I needed any money to prepare that article during that period, I should cover that out of my own pocket. Would that be correct?
I think it's actually identified in the policy that the constituency money's not available during the campaign period.
Yeah, ideally, your constituency funds, Director, if that's the question, should not be used to promote any candidate, would be our position. But again, there's no formal policy or anything enshrined in bylaw or legislation.
Good.
Promoting a candidate. That's a tough one. Just providing information to the spiel might be considered promoting myself, in other words. Yeah.
I'll just say for those directors not running for reelection, you're not, as long as you're continuing to report out on board business, because board business does continue right through the election, that would be fine, Director, for you to go forward with that.
Thank you, because that's all I ever report on is board business.
Yeah, it's just navigating that very careful line. Director Stanford, I think I saw your hand up.
I think I know the answer to this, but because I announced to the island community that I am not running for trustee, I did that on my own email. The Coast Reporter got a hold of it and are going to ask me about it tomorrow. I know they're going to ask whether I'm running for Area F. That's fine. Just say that, right? Okay. Just making sure.
Okay. I don't see any other hands up. And we know how to reach our corporate officer or CAO anytime if we've got questions. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right. Next up, we have item 7.1, which is the letter from CIO Reconciliation Movement regarding a potential funding request. Again, we don't typically make motions based on, the same meeting as the delegation. I know a couple of directors have talked in the background about, is there anything that we can do? I would suggest that if directors do want to find a way to fund this, talk to myself, the CAO, and a notice of motion should come forward based on that. But all right, and with that, I don't see any hands up, so we're going to move on in the agenda. Item 8.1, motion for which notice has been given. So this would be that the Board Policy Review Committee meeting, currently scheduled for June 18th, 2026 at 1 p.m., be rescheduled to begin at 9:30 a.m. to accommodate the regularly scheduled EAS committee. So I will move that. I've got a seconder. Any discussion on it? Director Stanford, you're looking concerned. Would you like to speak to this?
I know, it's going to be a big day.
It is going to be a big day for sure. I don't see any other hands up. I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you, that's carried. All right. Next up, we have the bylaws. Item 9.1, starting on page 62, we have the Sunshine Coast Regional District Officer Establishment and Delegation of Powers, Duties, and Functions, bylaw number 782, 2026. The bylaws here, we had a staff report about this previously. It's looking for first, second, and third readings, which I believe we can do in a single motion. And so would somebody like to move first, second, and third reading of the Sunshine Coast Regional District Officer Establishment and Delegation of Powers, Duties, and Functions bylaw? Moved, seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you, that is carried. All right. We have no new business, but we do have an in-camera section. So I look for a motion that the public be excluded from attendance at the meeting in accordance with section 91 A, C, and K of the community charter, please. Moved, seconded, all those in favor? Thank you. That's carried. Director Lee? It only says first, second, and third readings on my cover page. I assume adoption will come at the next meeting? That's okay. Any questions from the gallery? There's nobody online, so we're gonna move to in camera and we're gonna just take a 2-minute reset. And welcome back to the regular scheduled board meeting of May 28th, 2026. It is 3:46. We've finished our in-camera agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please? Moved, seconded. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you at the next one.